The room smelled faintly of disinfectant and warm plastic as the ultrasound monitor hummed beside Lydia Harper's bed. She stared at the ceiling tiles, counting tiny cracks to calm herself. This was supposed to be routine, just another checkup, just another quiet reassurance that everything was normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Dr. Evan Roth slid the ultrasound wand slowly across her lower abdomen, his eyes fixed on the screen. Lydia tried to read his face, but it was locked into a professional mask. His hand paused, then it stopped completely. The silence stretched. Lydia's heart started thudding against her ribs. "Is something wrong?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay steady. Dr. Roth didn't answer right away. He adjusted the angle of the monitor, then leaned closer, narrowing his eyes as if what he was seeing didn't make sense. Finally he spoke. "Who has been treating you until today?" The question hit her like a cold splash of water. "My husband," Lydia said slowly. "Dr. Mark Harper, he's a gynecologist." Dr. Roth went very still. For a moment the only sound was the soft beeping of the machine. "Lydia," he said carefully, "I need you to listen to me. There is something inside your uterus that should not be there." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" He pulled the wand away and covered her with a paper sheet. "There appears to be a foreign object embedded in your tissue. It's not part of your body, and it's not a harmless growth." Her skin went cold. "A foreign object? Yes." His voice was calm, but his eyes were not, "and it has been there for a long time." The words made her dizzy. Until that moment, Lydia had never doubted her husband. Mark wasn't just the man she loved, he was the man she trusted with her body. For 14 years, she had let him guide every medical decision, believing his training made him safer than anyone else. Now, sitting in a stranger's clinic with a shadow on a screen, that belief cracked. For months, Lydia had been living with pain she couldn't explain, deep, twisting cramps that came without warning, bleeding that made no sense. Exhaustion that never went away. Every time she mentioned it, Mark brushed it off. "Hormones change as you get older," he'd say gently. "Stress can mess with everything." When she asked for tests, he laughed. "Why would you need tests?" "You've got me," and she believed him, because who questions the person who claims to know you better than anyone? But the pain kept growing. So did the unease. One night, she found herself curled on the bathroom floor, sweating and shaking while Mark stood in the doorway telling her to take another pill and rest. That was the night she realized something was wrong. 2 weeks later, while Mark was out of town for a medical conference, Lydia made an appointment with Dr. Roth. Now she knew why she had been afraid. Dr. Roth turned the screen so Lydia could see. "This dark shape here," he said, pointing, "doesn't belong." Her mouth felt dry. "What is it?" "I don't know yet," he replied. "But I do know this, it was put there by someone." Lydia stared at the image. "I've never had anything implanted. I'm terrified of medical devices. My husband knows that." Dr. Roth's jaw tightened. "Then we need to find out how it got there." The room suddenly felt too small. He explained that the tissue around the object was inflamed, which meant it had been there for years, long enough for her body to start reacting to it. "Long enough to cause real damage. You need to go to the hospital today," he said, handing her a referral. "They have the equipment to remove it safely. Waiting is not an option." "Is it dangerous?" she whispered. He hesitated just long enough to tell the truth. "It can be. Chronic inflammation in the uterus can lead to infection, scarring, even cancer." The word hit her like a punch. When Lydia walked out of the clinic, the world felt unreal. Cars passed, people laughed, everything kept moving as if her life hadn't just split open. Only one person had ever been alone with her body during surgery, only one. By that evening, Lydia was lying in a hospital bed under bright white lights. Doctors moved quickly, speaking in low, urgent voices. When she woke up after surgery, a man in blue scrubs was standing beside her. "We removed it," he said. He held up a small, clear container. Inside was a dark, twisted metal device. "That was inside me," Lydia whispered. "Yes," the surgeon replied, "and it's an old model of an intrauterine device. One that was taken off the market years ago because of serious risks." Her hands began to shake. "It also has a serial number," he added. "We'll trace it." That was when Lydia knew this wasn't a mistake. This was something someone had done to her, and whoever it was had been hiding it for years. But the truth was about to become far worse, because when the serial number came back, it didn't just point to a device, it pointed to the man Lydia had trusted with her life. Lydia woke to the sound of rain tapping against the hospital window and the heavy ache of something missing inside her. Her lower abdomen throbbed with a dull, unfamiliar pain. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered the clear container, the twisted metal shape, and the words that had changed everything. "There was something inside you that should not be there." A nurse noticed her stirring and stepped forward. "You're awake. The surgeon will be in soon." Lydia swallowed. Did you really take it out?" The nurse gave a careful nod. "Yes, ma'am, everything went as planned. Everything except her life." A few minutes later, Dr. Alvarez, the surgeon, entered holding a small plastic case. His expression was calm, but there was something tight around his eyes that made Lydia uneasy. we removed the device, he said. You're very lucky we did. He opened the case. Inside was the same dark, corroded piece of metal she'd seen before. That was in me, Lydia whispered. Yes, he said, and it's not just any device. It's an outdated intrauterine implant. They stopped using this model years ago because of severe side effects, chronic inflammation, scarring, and in some cases, cancer. The room felt suddenly too bright. Why would anyone put that inside me? She asked. Dr. Alvarez didn't answer right away. It also has a serial number, he said. That means it was logged, purchased, and assigned. We've already sent it to be traced. Lydia felt a chill crawl up her spine. Someone hadn't just hurt her, someone had planned it. An hour later, a woman in a navy blazer stepped into Lydia's room. She carried herself with quiet authority. Miss Harper, I'm Detective Mara Klein, she said, flashing her badge. I need to ask you a few questions. Lydia's heart pounded. About the device? Yes, about how it got inside you. Lydia hesitated, then spoke the truth she had been avoiding. My husband is a gynecologist. He handled all my care. Detective Klein's eyes sharpened. Including surgeries? Yes, 8 years ago I had emergency abdominal surgery. He insisted it be done at his clinic. Did anyone else treat you? I don't know. He said he would supervise everything. Klein nodded slowly. That matters. The answer came faster than Lydia expected. That afternoon, Detective Klein returned with a folder in her hand. She closed the door before speaking. We traced the serial number, she said. Lydia's chest tightened. And it was registered to Mark Harper's clinic. The record shows it was officially destroyed 8 years ago. 8 years ago, the same year Lydia went under anesthesia. So he lied, Lydia whispered. Yes, Klein said. And that means the device removed from you was illegally implanted and deliberately hidden. Lydia stared at the wall, feeling as if the floor had dropped out from under her. Why? That's what we're going to find out. 3 days later, Lydia was discharged. She didn't go home. Instead, she drove straight to Mark's clinic. Detective Klein had given her permission to retrieve personal records. The building was quiet, empty, and sterile, like a stage after the actors had left. Mark's office still smelled faintly of his cologne. She opened his computer. The password came easily, his mother's birthday. He'd never been creative with secrets. A folder sat on the desktop. Forever Us. Lydia clicked it. Hundreds of photos filled the screen. Mark holding a toddler, Mark beside a smiling brunette, a baby in his arms, family vacations. Birthday cakes, holiday mornings. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't an affair. This was a second life. Then she opened the messages. One of them froze her blood. Don't worry, I took care of Lydia during her surgery. She'll never be able to have kids. We're safe now. Lydia's vision blurred. He hadn't just betrayed her, he had destroyed her future. She copied everything onto a flash drive, every photo, every message, every lie. That evening Mark came home. He carried flowers. Hey, he said, smiling. I was worried about you. Lydia turned the laptop toward him, his face drained of color. What is this? He whispered. This, she said, holding up the hospital container, is what you put inside me. The front door suddenly burst open. Detective Klein stepped in with 2 officers. Mark Harper, she said, you're under arrest for medical assault and grievous bodily harm. Mark collapsed to his knees. But the worst truth hadn't even come out yet, because the woman Mark built his second life with was about to tell Lydia why he made sure she could never become a mother. Mark Harper did not go to jail that night. That was the first cruel surprise. The officers took him in for questioning, but his lawyer arrived within the hour. By midnight, Mark was back on the street, suspended from practicing medicine but very much free. Free to lie, free to manipulate, free to protect whatever secret still hadn't come out. Lydia didn't sleep. She sat on her couch staring at the flash drive in her hand, replaying that message in her mind over and over. I took care of Lydia during her surgery. She'll never be able to have kids. He hadn't just betrayed her, he had decided her life. Her phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. I didn't know what he did to you. Elena, the woman in the photos, the other life. They met the next morning at a small cafe on the edge of town. Elena arrived wearing sunglasses and a hoodie pulled low over her face like someone who already knew she was walking into a storm. She didn't order coffee. I'm pregnant, she said quietly. Lydia felt something cold twist inside her. Congratulations, Elena flinched. I didn't come here to hurt you. I came because Mark lied to both of us. Lydia folded her arms. That would be a first, Elena swallowed. He told me you couldn't have children, that you were sick, that he stayed out of guilt. And you believed him? Yes, she whispered. But I didn't know how he made sure it stayed that way. Lydia leaned forward. Then tell me. Elena's hands trembled as she wrapped them around her cup. He was obsessed with control, she said. He didn't just want a family. He wanted one that belonged only to him. What does that mean? He was afraid you'd get pregnant and trap him, Elena said. So he prepared. Lydia's blood went cold. Prepared how? He told me years ago he had a backup plan, something he could do if he needed to make sure you'd never conceive. Lydia's voice dropped to a whisper. The device, Elena nodded. He said it was safe. That doctors used them all the time, but he also said something else. She hesitated. He said it would slowly damage your body, that even if it didn't kill you, it would make sure you'd never be able to carry a baby. The cafe noise faded around Lydia. You knew, Lydia said. I didn't know he had already done it, Alina said quickly. I thought it was just talk. Mark liked to sound powerful. But you stayed. I was scared, she admitted. And by the time I realized he was serious, I was already pregnant with Noah, then Lily. He didn't just destroy Lydia's future, he built another one on top of it. That afternoon, Detective Klein listened as Lydia played Alina's recorded confession. This is big, Klein said quietly. It proves motive. Motive for what? Lydia asked. For turning your body into something he could control. That evening, Mark showed up at Lydia's door. No flowers this time, just anger. You ruined everything, he said. You went to the police. You went to her. You ruined everything the day you put that thing inside me, Lydia replied. You don't understand, he snapped. I was protecting my life, my real family. I was your wife. You were a problem, he said. The words hung between them, and Lydia finally knew. But Mark still believed he could escape because the final piece of evidence hadn't surfaced yet, and when it did, it would prove he didn't just hurt Lydia, he had planned to kill her. The file that finally destroyed Mark Harper was not hidden in his clinic. It was hidden in his home. Detective Klein found it 2 days after Lydia moved out, when a search warrant gave them access to Mark's private office. At first, it looked like nothing more than an encrypted medical archive, hundreds of patient files, neatly organized, protected by a second password. But when the tech team cracked it, one folder stood out. L. Harper long-term. Inside were years of scans, blood work, and surgical notes, all labeled, all dated, all written in Mark's handwriting. Lydia had never seen any of it. Klein brought the tablet to Lydia that evening. I need you to look at this, she said quietly. Lydia scrolled, ultrasounds, hormone panels, biopsy markers, then a document called Risk Progression Plan. Her breath caught. What is this? She whispered. Klein didn't soften her voice. It's a timeline. Mark was tracking how much damage the device was doing to your uterus. Lydia's hands began to shake. He wasn't just preventing pregnancy, Klein continued. He was waiting for the inflammation to become malignant. You mean cancer? Yes, Lydia stared at the screen. Under projected outcome, Mark had written, Stage 3 by year 10, surgical hysterectomy likely. Terminal risk acceptable. Acceptable, Lydia whispered. He had been waiting for her to get sick enough that she wouldn't survive, or at least not be able to speak. The next document was worse. It was a surgical plan, dated 2 months in the future. Mark had scheduled Lydia for what he called a routine diagnostic procedure at his clinic. In reality, it was a complete uterine removal, justified by the cancer he had been engineering. And the anesthesia dosage was wrong, deliberately wrong. If she went under with that dose, Klein said softly, there was a significant chance she wouldn't wake up. Lydia felt cold all over. He wasn't just trying to make me infertile, she said. He was trying to erase you, Klein replied. Mark was arrested that night. This time there was no lawyer fast enough to save him. The evidence was airtight. The device, the serial number, Alina's confession, and now the digital trail of premeditation. When Mark was brought into the interrogation room, he didn't pretend anymore. I gave her everything, he said flatly. A house, a life. I didn't owe her a future. You stole her body, Klein said. I managed it, he corrected. Doctors do it every day. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Medical experts testified that the device had caused severe precancerous damage. Forensic analysts showed the altered anesthesia plan. Alina testified, shaking, about how Mark had talked about Lydia like a defective machine. Lydia took the stand last. I trusted him with my life, she said. He turned that trust into a weapon. The jury took less than 3 hours. Mark Harper was convicted of aggravated medical assault, attempted murder, fraud, and abuse of professional authority. His medical license was revoked forever. He was sentenced to prison.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Your medical license is permanently revoked. Case closed.
1 year later, Lydia's life looked nothing like it once had. Her body was healing. The dangerous cells were gone. The device's damage had been stopped just in time. She lived in a small apartment now, filled with sunlight. On her kitchen table sat adoption paperwork. Lydia smiled as she signed the last page. Mark had tried to decide what her life would be. He failed. But Lydia's story didn't end with survival, because the woman Mark tried to erase was about to build something even stronger, a life that no one could ever take from her again.